Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 84 of Confessions of a Market Maker. I'm your co-host, Ray, aka All Day Ray, aka Wally Balls, and I'm joined here by my endearing co-host, former market maker, 20 years and current day retail trader, a man who's never worried about the outcome, only worried about his income. He's taught you how to think like a villain, the gorilla of House Street, JJ.
Hey, brother, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are things across the pond?
London is wonderful.
Excellent. Love to hear it. And our guest today has been a professional poker player since the early 2000s, president and founder of blitzpick, a Web3 sports betting portal, co-host of the NFT Mania show, and he's the best poker playing hip hop artist out there.
That's facts.
That's facts. I'm talking about Brett Richey. Brett, how's it going, man?
Doing great, Ray. Thanks for having me on.
Man, love that you came on, man. Man, so how's you still writing, you still producing, making any songs at all?
Yeah, I got some music coming probably this summer. So, it's still in the mix, man. I got a couple of songs written. I mostly just freestyle though. So I got some ideas around freestyles and then just slam them up as an NFT and let the ball roll.
And slam it up as an NFT, man. I love it, man. Brett, I swear, man, and you'll have to tell me, I could have remembered, like, there's definitely like an interview with you freestyling on ESPN. For the life of me, I couldn't find it though online. Or is this something I'm imagining?
Yeah, no, you're right. There was, I think it was so like I did a song we did on ESPN. They did like a video, but then I think it was a 25K shootout. So it was like if you won it was a winner take all event almost. I made the final table. So I did like a freestyle in that interview there. And I did one with Poker News too at some point. So they're out there. I think, I don't know. I'm not even sure if that one's on the internet.
Yeah, I was trying to find, maybe it was the Poker News one that I was thinking, because I kept trying to type in ESPN because I remembered it happened years ago. Yeah,
it was both. There's like a video on each and like a freestyle on each one too.
Yeah. No, that's why it's cool when I saw this guy. I'm like, okay, poker player, likes hip hop, because I freestyle around, I mess around. I'm probably not as as serious with it, but when you're with your boys,
Yeah, it's fun, man. I like doing it.
It's fun. That's been more of hip hop's been more of a love for you than, would you say, poker?
Yeah, I like them both. I mean, I really like them both. Like especially poker, I haven't played a ton in the past few years, and so I've been like I'm excited for this World Series coming up. And I played last World Series, and I haven't played a whole lot in between. So I kind of like now that I'm doing other stuff, so I'm not as like grinding poker as a pro. I really liked grinding poker online as a pro. Like the money was great, the freedom was awesome. Like up till 2011 Black Friday. And then since then, it was more of a grind. Like I was making less money. It's like you got to travel more. Your hours are worse instead of just doing whatever. So I didn't like it as much. There's a lot of politicking that goes on in the live games, sure. Where it's like, I'm not trying to get in everybody's business. I'm just here to gamble kind of thing. So I didn't like it as much, but I do like the World Series. I like playing tournaments. Yeah. I still like poker a lot. I don't play it so much.
Yeah. It becomes a grind after a while. Yeah, and since I still play frequently-ish, but yeah, it's way different. I'm more juiced up when I go to play now. When or maybe I'll still fire up online once in a while, and it's it's just good to do it when you want to, as opposed to it's like, all right, fuck, I gotta wake up today, put in the hours. But
yeah.
All right. And just, reminder to the listeners, you guys would like to join JJ, myself, and a supportive community of traders, you can join us at microefutures.com. Brett, why don't you just tell the listeners that aren't familiar with yourself, just sort of like how you stumbled on to poker and chose this as a career for a little bit.
Yeah, so I was in college in the early 2000s, and two things kind of triggered my interest. One was Rounders, which was like a really popular path to getting into poker. People that saw that movie back then. So many people came from watching Rounders. And then there was this, I don't even remember how I read it, but Harper's Magazine had this article by Jim McManus which ended up becoming a book called Fortune Smile. But he was a journalist who was sent with $2,000 to cover the main event. So he hopped in with his like $2,000 stipend. He hopped in a satellite, won the satellite for $10K to get in the main, and then he got fifth in the main event. So it was this really cool, and like to me, you know, it was TJ versus Chris Ferguson was the final. They were like these larger than life characters, and it was just like this really cool story. I didn't quite realize how lucky this guy was to parlay a satellite into the final table when he was just a journalist. You know, he wasn't a pro player at all.
Yeah.
But that was like, wow, that sounded awesome. So I really liked that article. So we started playing in college. This was right before Moneymaker. So it's like the year before. And so they still didn't have the whole card cams on TV. Obviously that got a ton more people in with ESPN. So there weren't, you know, that many people into poker at the time, but we had enough. Like my college was really small. It was only like 1,600 people, but UMass was in the same town. Which is like 30,000 or whatever. So we you could find a game.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And Moneymaker, it made me think, man, we had Moneymaker on, I think like about like last year, give or take. That was a neat one.
Yeah.
He got into NFTs too, or at least he was back then. That was interesting. So, you know, going through your poker career, I know you grinded online for a while. Black Friday hits. Then you moved, I believe you said you moved to New York and you started playing some of the underground games. I think of Rounders when I think of it. How any similarities? How are the NYC games?
That movie was somewhat accurate in terms of that environment. I was already living in New York from like 2005, but then after Black Friday, I was still in New York, and so it's like, you know, I needed income. Basically, it's an expensive city. And so I never played underground games when online was around. I played like once, and it didn't really interest me. And so then, you know, I started playing more, and like I was fortunate. I found a game where like I knew the people. The main problem in New York is the rake can get really high. You know, and then there's other stuff you got to watch out for too, like obviously like cheating and like things like that. But the rake. You know, and then some games it's like it's all on credit, so they kind of charge the high rake because they're supposed to guarantee that you're going to get paid when you win. But sometimes the games don't do that. They're charging high rake, and then you win, and they're like, well, we still need these losers to pay before you get paid first. So for me, like I pretty much found the game that I guess I would say trusted, like, you know, like there's 100, 200, and 200, 400 mixed games, so limit games. And maybe 3-6 sometimes we play, but usually 1-2 or 2-4. And like I knew most of the people, you know, it's like half businessmen, like half, you know, pros, but it wasn't like any like, you know, stone cold killer pros, or, you know, they're usually playing higher stakes or whatever. So it was a good game, you know, a lot of good people there. And like the rake wasn't crazy, so that was good. But like, you know, some of the PLO, some of the big bet games, high rake, but you would hear people go on these crazy runs, man. Like random guys are going on like 7-figure runs in some of these games. Like the money gets big, you know. So there's if you can fade the rake and the cheating, and you know, you can do well for yourself.
Well, that's what I was wondering as far as like some of like maybe the risks, right? Because it's already enough to like be a winning poker player, and then like having to worry about like, okay, am I getting cheated? Or what else is going on around here? So any like, you know, stories, maybe any like, you know, things of that nature you ran into?
I didn't really like, I mostly played this one game where like I knew the people running it, and like I knew the other, or at least I grew to know the other players in the game. And so that to me, there was not, if there was cheating in there, like I don't really think that. And like, again, you win, you get paid if you want. We had a deal where we like 20K either way, like you just keep it on the sheet. And then if I'm owed over 20, you pay me down to 20. If I owe over 20, I pay you down to where I owe 20. But everyone had their own deal. Like some people were like, I want to bring cash. But a lot of the, you know, and then there's other games that are like cash only. Like you hear some stories of like a fucking guy brings a gun to the game in Brooklyn or some shit, steal like a few $1,000s. So they have all levels, you know, and then there's other like hedge fund games, you know, that are 10 to 100 times the stakes I was playing, and that's just a whole other world if you can navigate like the social connections to get into that game, especially if you're a winning player. So yeah, there's like the whole wide range. And so like for me personally, I never really saw I avoided a lot of like the riskier games. Like I found a game that was like good stakes and like I could basically beat for a good amount, and that was fine with me. But I still didn't like I'm playing 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. My girlfriend's working a 9 to 5. It's like it's not a great lifestyle. Sometimes you got to travel with me to Borgata on the weekend too sometimes. So I like it's fine to do it for a bit. I did that for probably 3 years. And like by the end I was ready to move on to find something else to do.
Yeah. It makes me think too, Brett, like the lifestyle's tough. When I was dating this girl 3, 4, 5 years ago, I'd be playing through the night, and she's a school teacher. And so we just like never seen each other really, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun's while it lasts. So yeah, I know you're a mixed game guy. Any games you particularly like that you think you're strongest at?
I like stud high and stud high low, probably my two biggest edges. Maybe. I mean, stud high low, I think I play very well, but there's also just a lot of automatic decisions in that game. So there's only so much edge you can have. Stud high, I think, is a more difficult game. So like I'm probably better theoretically at stud 8 or better, but my edge might be bigger in stud high. At least it was online when I was like keeping my poker tracker stats. Just because there's way fewer automatic decisions there, so it's a more interesting game.
Makes sense.
Probably those PLO I've done pretty well, and also but both straight PLO and in the mix.
Yeah. Well, 7 card stud, there's an extra street of betting, right? Too. So the pots can get
big.
Yeah.
In mix, man, and it's one winner. So like stud high low, it's split. Stud high, like in these mixed tournaments, like I'm playing Dealer's Choice tomorrow, so I'll be picking that game a fair amount. And it's a good game in a tournament. Like if you go on a run in stud high, as you say, you're getting that extra big bet in. It's all one winner take all. So like you can really be kind of off to the races, or vice versa. You can just kind of flame out of the tournament pretty quickly if you start losing those hands. Yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah, but I've always enjoyed the split pots like stud 8. I used to play in an OE game, stud 8.
Yeah, I like OE.
Yeah, it's fun. But I guess the split pot nature can bail some people out sometimes, which is sometimes tilting. I'm like, he shouldn't have been in.
Omaha 8 is like it's a real popular game. It's the games I played in, it's almost bingo. You have 8 people, 6 of them are seeing the flop, and then the pot's so big that like the only mistake you can make now is to fold. So it's just everyone's just kind of playing bingo to the end.
That's what I do. I used to play in a PLO 8 game for a while. That game's fun because you can push it a little bit more.
You can't you can't get away with just like I'm in the pot, so I'm just see you at showdown like you can in 08. PLO 8 you can get quartered. You find out quickly, the wrong way to do things in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fun games. So you got you're playing the WSOP starting tomorrow. How many events? Like you got an idea of what you're gonna play? Or you're just gonna go by ear?
I got my like first week planned out. I'm going to go from there. But yeah, I'm playing 1500 Dealer's Choice, 1500 Omaha 8 or better, 1500 stud, probably the 10K Dealer's Choice, which is Sunday, but I got some stuff to do early in the week, so I'm not sure. Yeah, kind of just whatever's next up if I feel like playing it. I like some of the mix events, but also I don't mind like the no limit stuff too. I'll play it, but the problem I have in the no limit ones, like the Millionaire Maker and like the Monster Stack, those are great tournaments, but they're really long because they get so many people. So it's like you play 3 days to be making double your money or something, So it's like really high variance and there's this long tournaments, but at the same time, you can turn 1,500 into $1 million in a week if you really catch lightning in a bottle, which is like appealing. And then when you're deep in that tournament, it's a much weaker field than like typically deep in a tournament that's paying $1 million for first.
Right.
It's not like a 10K at Bellagio where it's going to be tough players. You're going to have at least some level of amateurs there. So yeah, I'll pretty much just play whatever's up, and I haven't done horribly well in tournaments. I'm honestly like break even or losing over like a 15 years sample, which to me, I think not. I think if we ran it back again, I would have done a little better, but it's also like I'm not some amazing tournament player that's just crushing it. So I'm going to kind of get in there, fire some events, see what happens. You know, if I'm just getting killed, maybe I'm like, whatever, I'll do something else. But for the most part, yeah, I plan to play a fair amount. Well, certainly the main event. I'll always play that.
Do you find it like as a cash game player? Because I've primarily been a cash game guy as well. I find the patience, like you mentioned, like, you know, I did like when I went out there, I think I played the one of those tournaments you mentioned, like the Monster or the whatever. And I'm like in day 2.
Colossus.
Yeah, Colossus. And it's like you got to play 3 days and it's like I could have just grinded cash. I could have just played cash for 3 days to mint cash. You know, it's just. Do you struggle with patience? Do you struggle with like that's what I always did. And then I'd just be like, oh fuck it. Like, I don't know.
Patience is one of my strengths, I would say, with poker. Okay. So, or like in trading, I guess, in general. So like, I don't mind chilling in the tournament. I will agree though, like when I was a pro, like I was a cash pro, I looked at tournaments as a almost entertainment expense, right? And then I had a tournament backer like during the years of where I could play cash on my own, and then I would have a guy like taking on the variance of these tournaments. And it's just like they're really high variance, and you can't count, especially live tournaments. Like maybe you could make a living doing it live, but like I just don't think you can count on it consistently enough. Like, unless you're like really good and you play a lot, but then you add in travel expenses. Like there's a lot of overhead in this lifestyle. Like I would never want to be like a traveling tournament pro. I've like traveled the circuit, you know, for periods of time. I enjoy that. Like I don't mind going to like whatever, the Iowa random casino for their like week of events. Like I've done that, you know, here and there, but I wouldn't want to do at one after the other. But like Florida, South Florida, they've a ton of great tournaments. Like you could live there, play mostly cash, and then when the series comes to town, you fire some of those, and then, you know, but have cash as like the main staple, I think is something that most poker players should do, you know, or other income, however it is. But like, I'm not counting on tournaments for money. I look at that as entertainment personally.
Right. Makes
where I can have an edge, where I think I have an edge and I can still make money. That'd be great, you know, to have a 6-figure score coming up in one of these events, but like, I'm not counting on it.
Right. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Yeah, and there is. Yeah, and I'm down here in Florida, Brett. It's also, I'm like, actually, I'm going down to the Hard Rock later tonight. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. I think I'm start picking up playing some of these tournaments a little bit here and there. All right, last poker thing, because I know, you know, we got a lot of, most people are traders on here, but I came across this crazy hand, man. You must have been years ago on ESPN, like you versus Phil Hellmuth, and this other girl, and it was
Shaq.
That was just explain the hand for the listeners, because that was a wild fucking hand.
So it's $3,000 no limit buy-in tournament at World Series. Get to the final table. I don't know if it was supposed to be on TV or if because Hellmuth was there, they made it on TV. But so it's on ESPN, and we're like, I think 7-handed now, and I get kings under the gun, and I have like 16 blinds, so I make it, I think, like 2.5 blinds. I made it 80. It was 30K big blind. I make it 80. Fold. Beth Shaq, who was this amateur lady, she was the wife of Dan Shaq, who plays a lot of poker at the time they got divorced. But she was the wife of him. She had Phil Ivey on the rail also. But she was very amateur. Like she didn't understand a lot. Like, she just didn't really play poker. Whatever. She moves all in for like 550. I'd made it 80 with king. So I'm immediately like, yes. Phil Hellmuth has 90K, and he's very next to act after her. He immediately shoves his chips in. He starts this big celebration, like quarter of a second, honey. I'm all in. And the dealer splits those two also. So comes back to me. I'm like, I know he has aces. Like he's making it very clear, because it's the amount of money left for me. It's so he might have had 110, but like I made it 80. So either way, it was so irrelevant what his like remaining chips were. He wants me to fold, so he's making this huge commotion, you know. And then I'm like, okay, well, I know he has aces. I have kings. I don't really respect, you know, Beth's poker ability at all, so I didn't really pay any attention to her. Meanwhile, she's going to the crowd. She's doing the aces dance, so I look like this total idiot. Or if there's 3 cameras on her, the dealer splits her and Hellmuth too, right? So he commands all this attention. So I kind of just immediately brushed her off. And whatever, long story short, they both have aces. I call with kings. I'm out in 7th. I look like a total idiot. They didn't do me any favors with editing, I'll say that. Like, they didn't show that Helmuth had no chips, so it looked even worse.
Yeah.
I knew at least one of them had aces. It is what it is. I don't I wish I'd paid more attention to her, but like the thought process based on the information I was receiving, I could have done a better job hunting for more information. I made a good decision.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever folded kings pre-flop?
No, but now I can't. I got to go down with the ship every time. I don't play enough no limit to where like I would, but like we're 9-handed there, and under the gun goes all in for 100,000. The next guy goes all in for 300,000. Fold goes to Beth. She then asks that 300,000 guy, "Are you making a move?" Which shows like you can't be making a move there. The first guy's already all in. Now this guy's all in. There's no move to be made. Like,
yeah,
there are like you can't make a move on a guy that's already all in. And then she went jammed 750 with ace queen with 3 other 750 stacks behind her, which to me is that's a fold. But that was like the level of she just didn't understand like basic concepts of poker. So then I just I discounted her. I didn't pay attention, and no, I've still never folded kings. But I haven't played that much. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but yeah.
I think that's on the I don't think I've ever folded kings. Maybe once, maybe. Like, you got to have a crazy read, I feel like, on somebody.
Yeah.
But what year was that? Because like that watching it now, to me, it was just so ridiculous. Like they're celebrating and like you're still in the fucking hand. Like, it's the decision's still on you. It was so outrageous.
Yeah, 05, 07, somewhere in there.
Oh, that makes sense, because those years were crazy. Those years were fucking nuts, man.
Yeah.
Do you miss those days? You ever like look back on those days and were like, wow, man, like that was something?
Yeah, it was great. It honestly, like, the NFT world kind of reminded me of that. Last year, like, reminded me of the early poker days, where it's like, everyone was sort of figuring it out together, with crazy money at stake. The people, you could beat pretty high stakes games without a whole lot of study back then. And then obviously over time, the market gets more sophisticated, and you have to level up. No, it sure has got a lot more sophisticated. So after poker, not after poker, but as you're kind of transitioning to doing other stuff, I know DFS caught your attention. So tell us a little bit about your interest in DFS, and where you've done with that. Yeah, so like 2014 or so, I've been playing like for 3 years these underground New York games mostly, and I was like looking for something else to do, and so DFS started playing that, just casually, and I was like, this feels a lot like poker, right? And so I then was like, I want to be on the industry side this time. I saw like you did well on the player side in poker, but like the big money, the people that really made a ton of money, made it on the industry side. So I was like, all right, I want to go to industry side. So I'm in New York. Both FanDuel and DraftKings were there. I had friends there. So I went to interview at those places. I was like, I want to, basically just get a job, because I was this poker player. So like, just let me fucking see if I can just get a job and then see how that goes. And started interviewing, and it's like, they had like 100 employees already. So I was like, I'm a gambler, I'm used to having like all my, action, or like a lot of the upside at least. So I was like, I don't really want to be employee 100. Like, there's no upside there. Turns out, like, if it went to DraftKings, I'm sure that probably still would have worked out very well. FanDuel, no. And then I was basically like, during that process, like, I was still casually playing, but I was like, there's not a good mobile experience for, like, I would go out to dinner with my girlfriend, right? She's off work. I'm about to go play poker. So I want to throw like a baseball or basketball lineup in. She's yelling at me, get off your phone. I'll be like studying on my phone. She's yelling at me, like, get off your phone and pay attention to me. Like, we only have an hour to hang out today, which is like a very valid criticism. And so I was like, well, if I had an app that I could just, like, simplify the process, that would be useful. So then I basically quit the FanDuel, DraftKings, trying to get a job there, and was raised money essentially for this mobile app, and moved to Vegas. one for the gambling ties, two is just cheaper than New York City. So and then I outsourced to this app shop in Vegas, which turned out to be a mistake. They were kind of a scam. But we built this mobile optimizer, like news tool.
Okay.
Then ran out of money, like shitty product. That, you know, outsourcing to this shop was a mistake. Our main investor, who I met playing in this underground New York game, was like, I still think there's something here. Like I'll like loan the company money, which just turned into equity, but to like hire a team. So then I was able to hire a team. We built it out. You know, the government kind of came in, the daily fantasy, like it looked less exciting than when we initially started. And so then in the start of 2017, we were, you know, there's just all this excitement around Ethereum and everything. So we sort of pivoted into the Ethereum space at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. So where so the company's or blitzpick, correct? That's the name. So so how are you guys looking today?
So I mean, better than we were a year ago, you know. So we then raised money in the ICO at the start of 2018 to build on Augur, which is this like decentralized protocol where you can like create a market on anything. And we raised at the stone peak. You know, Ethereum was like $1,000 of the peak at the time. It hit 1,400 or something briefly, but it was about to peak. Things start falling apart. And then things just went bad for us essentially across the board. Like that was a rough like summer, right? We have all these angry people, the token price crashes, you know, none of the promises that were made from the sort of overall infrastructure. People, you know, are like, well, you're just getting, you know, the average guy's gonna be using Ethereum, they're not even gonna notice it, it's just under the hood, like that's coming by the end of this year. And like turned out like all the cart got way ahead of the horse there, right? And so we saw a ton of like ETH even went down to $80 or 60, you know, so like that was tough. So we built what we said we were going to do anyway. We built it on Augur. And so we had this betting exchange built on Augur and 0x, which was going to be, we were going to move to Dublin and launch it out of there. But it was like, Augur is not a great back end for sports betting. It's too slow. It's like very decentralized. But when I bet, I want to just, you know, hey, the Falcons won. Where's my money? Augur, well, you got to wait 2 days to make sure that they really won. No one's trying to do that. So some bad design decisions in there. So then into 2019, we're out of money again. You know, the people are burnt out. Like some of the people, I mean, they're fucking devs are getting death threats, you know, like you fucking, like some of these people, extreme scumbags, like, and I know them, like we have friends of friends, you know, and some of the shit they tried to pull was crazy. Like there's one guy, it doesn't matter, but he's in prison right now. In any event, then last year, my friend who's working at this robotics company in San Francisco, he's like, he didn't have enough upside there. He was like, I'm doing all this work for this company, but like I don't have enough equity and they're not gonna like give it to me. So he was looking for something else to do. So we rebuilt it. He and I, we're on the SX network now, which is really cool. It's actually a blockchain designed for sports betting. They're the first one to build on Polygon. They just raised like 10 million round. The SX token, it's out there. So we have it built. Like we've actually, the last month has been frustrating because it's ready. We've been testing it, but take it from our own test environment to like, hey, this is production ready. There's just these edge cases we keep finding. So hopefully it should be launching in June. Again, it'll be on the test net, but it's like a collaborative platform for sports bettors. So you can have your own coin, you know, you can have Ray coin. So people, they want to access your picks or your blogs or like content, they got to buy your coin. You know, we have tournaments, contests, just kind of a gamified experience. Like if you're betting, you know, similar to like whether Roto Grinders or Covers or Fantasy Labs or, you know, sites like that where we're not the actual book, we're the helper tool or these other experiences for the Web3 sports bettor. And so, you know, we're going to let the ball, we pivoted a bunch, like no more pivots. This is it. We're letting the ball roll here and, you know, see what happens.
We'll see. It seems like a good place to land on, Brett, right? Like, you know, you had to go through some like trials and errors. And I mean, I think we both know like the sports betting industry is just like taking off. And then you combine it with some like Web3. I know there's been some things I've been like looking into, keeping my eye on. And it seems like a good intersection. I think, or maybe we're just biased on like, these are kind of our likes.
No, you're right. Whether we'll be the ones to pull something off, somebody will.
Yeah.
Like sports betting has always lagged behind like most other industries in terms of like technological adoption. Even mobile, which is like such a perfect fit for betting, they were like way behind, gaming, like fucking photo apps, like a ton of other industries. Like mobile betting really didn't start taking off, till the last 10 years, where there's a whole other, 5 or 10 years before that where it could have picked up more. So then you look at like you have FTX paying for the Miami Heat arena, you have crypto.com paying for the Staples Center rights. Like there's a lot, the intersection of like sports betting, it's also becoming legal throughout the US. In crypto, I think it's an exciting intersection. And then it actually makes sense. Like if I go to bet at DraftKings, I deposit my money. Okay, now it's sitting in DraftKings. If I cash out, it's going to take me a few days to get my money, right? But like if I'm betting in MetaMask type sites, I have my money right away. I can do whatever I want with it. Like I really enjoy that aspect. And I think that more people that get used to like using MetaMask for things, it makes a lot more sense than like you tying up your money with this one specific site, for a while. I'm not trying to wait 3 days to get paid.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I just pay me now?
Yep, exactly. And like you said too, right? It's just probably more people getting like that, or the average person getting used to using MetaMask and things of the like. Do you think we're going to start seeing some? Because I'm not sure if this was kind of like because I remember looking into Augur years ago because it caught my attention at first. I don't know if they offer it, but you think we're going to start seeing like peer-to-peer betting, like where I could like post something and then anyone who wants to take the other
that exists. So it's on SportX, which is they built the SX network. So those are the guys we've partnered with. It's like Betfair, but they have a specific they have like a list of events and markets, right? So for the NBA, they have spread, money line, and total, right? They don't go into like a lot of exotic stuff, especially, but they do pretty good volume. Like regular season NBA, they would do, 5-6 figures of volume on a game. I'm sure with the finals coming up, it'll be 6, maybe 7 figures of volume there. So same thing, like you can go in and say like, I want Boston plus 150 and it sits there and either someone takes it or they don't, and if it gets matched, then you have a bet. And if it doesn't, then whatever. And it's on Polygon, soon to be their own network. So the gas price for doing this stuff is almost free. Like if it was on mainnet ETH, it'd be to cancel your bet or put an order in, like that starts eating into your cost quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's really cheap. So it's like their volumes are going up. So it's the kind of thing that it makes a lot of sense. I know exchange type betting is more popular overseas. It's not as popular in the US, but if you're already crypto savvy, I think that's going to be like an easier bridge to cross for people. And then you can still have like an actual just regular betting UI on top of this exchange type of market also. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's one of those things, it's like the flywheel. You get more volume in, that attracts more bettors and that attracts more volume. And now you have this robust marketplace. Like you'll see it in some sports, they have, market making bots on there. And then other sports, it's there's just not enough interest for it.
Yeah. Market making bots. Yeah.
Oh, and the FanDuel founder has one coming on Solana later this year.
Okay.
A peer-to-peer marketplace. There's another team building a market on the SX network also. So there's I think there's going to be more. I mean,
it's going to be so cool.
The betting is on this upward trajectory. So I think there's going to be a bunch of stuff coming in this space.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool to see. I really grind. I mean, the only sport I bet is football. That's the only one I'm like solid enough at.
NFL or like the major like SEC type college stuff, that they'll have plenty of volume.
And the props have been great. I've been almost stricken just to like the player props. But man, it's real exciting to see where it's going to go from here too. And then even like I even think DraftKings the past couple of years, they've had like sports betting championships. I could see it evolving into that, right? Like having like tournaments, right? Like,
they've done the tournaments. Like they do. I like to play just the regular NFL DraftKings, like the contest where you can turn $20 into $1 million.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. They do best ball also, which is like you draft a fantasy team, but then never touch it.
I love best ball. I love best ball.
Is super fun. It's like it's annoying because in Vegas you can't play it. You can't. Most DraftKings and Underdog I can't play. So if I'm out of town sometime this summer, I'll try and fire some lineups in. I like doing. It's a fun sweat. You know, it's the same thing. It's $20, and now you have a sweat for the whole season for $1 million. You know, it's like you're probably not gonna win, but like, you know, it's pretty good entertainment money.
Oh, it is. It's great, man. I mean, I was going to ask you about best ball. I think I got 20 lineups already, man. That shit gets addicting. It's not even June.
Test lineups. Like the only one I can play is the FFPC for Vegas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they have these like $5, like it's just like almost like a mock draft kind of thing. So I played that, but I do want to play some on DraftKings and Underdog. You typically right before the season is the best time to do it.
Well, you get a lot of the
more
Rex
information, and then you have like fish come in too. Like if you're playing Underdog drafts in May,
you get more sharper.
You know what's going on. Like there's no one that's just clueless clicking buttons in there.
You'd be surprised though, Brett. There's been some crazy shit already. Yeah, no, but I tend to agree with you. Yeah, you're gonna get your best lineups at the end. And you know, I'm pumped. Next week I got we got Levitan coming on, Adam Levitan. So I'm excited to have him on. Ask him about that. But yeah, you know, it's funny because you brought it up in Vegas, man. I was in Vegas for week 1 of the NFL season, and it's actually, you know, JJ, I was meeting with some of the people we trade with, like in our group, and one of the other guys is a heavy DFS bettor, and like, you know, we waited till Saturday night. We're running like the optimizer and stuff, and then I can't enter my fucking lineups, and I had to call my sister in Florida. I'm like, Erica, listen, I got 20 lineups right here. This is who. She's like, are you serious? Like, we're not gonna get it in. Yeah, that's crazy. Vegas. I don't know, maybe probably some like
it's it's the same thing. Every state they want their gambling to be what you like. You can't even do a mobile deposit on the sports books here. Like you have to physically go to the casino, which is insane. Wow.
Yeah,
and I was like walking. There's times I've wanted to bet something. I'm like, I live in the outskirts. You know, I'm not trying to go 20 minutes to the casino. So like I could do a better job of like leaving money on those apps, but I don't really bet that much, so I don't I haven't used it much.
It was funny, man. I'm walking between the Caesars and Bellagio. I think they're two separate sports books, because I know there's like what you got MGM. Yeah. And so because they had different lines, and so I have to keep shuffling back and forth. I'm like walking between, you know, luckily it's not too far of a walk, but you know, it was in fucking September. It was hot as shit, but so let's move on to trading, man. I know you're fairly active trading, investing. When did this come, trading pique your interest along your journey?
Honestly, I like back in the online poker days, I traded some, like just gambling. Mm-hmm. I remember I had an E-Trade account, and I shorted Domino's when they came out with this. If you look at their chart, it was just a disastrous short, but I shorted them. They came out with this ad campaign that was like, sorry, our old pizza sucked. It's better now. And I was like, this can't work. And then it was a hit. And so I got out early. Like I didn't get killed. Like it started going the other way. And I was like, okay, like I was wrong. But their chart is like this ridiculous chart. If you look at Domino's, this was like maybe 08, 09 is when I shorted it. And it's just like 100x. I don't know, maybe not that much, but it's a lot. It is on this crazy run since then. And that was kind of contrarian. I like BP had an oil spill. And I was like, well, they're still, they're probably still going to be around. So I bought BP. Toyota had some problem. I was like, they make great cars. I bought them. Goldman Sachs had some issue. I was like, they're not going anywhere. So that was kind of my strategy. But I was mostly clicking buttons. I wasn't that I guess into it. When I really started like actively trading was with Top Shot last year. NBA Top Shot was like sort of the on ramp for NFTs. Like I was never really an active crypto trader. Like I have never, in that sort of daily being in the market active, making multiple trades a day. This was the first time I started doing that, was with Top Shot, which I really liked. That was like last May, maybe. that was where a lot of my focus was, at which point, luckily I started branching out more into Ethereum. Like I like Top Shot. It was so easy. It's email, credit card, and like there was a lot of demand there. They kind of flooded the market just relentlessly. Crazy. And so like I'm trying to make money. Like that's not like my sole motivation here, but like I want to at least like have the chance to make money. Like I'm trying to make good trading decisions. But like also like I'm trying to do, focus in areas like I find enjoyable. Like I'm not just like mercilessly, like I have to just try and hunt whatever my biggest edge is. But with Top Shot is like at some point, I was kind of like, this is just not a good place for me to put my money or time. Yeah. So I still have some I'm just holding, but for the most part, I'm pretty over that. But yeah, branched out into Ethereum. And then again, like that was really a crazy summer where I like didn't leave my computer some days. I would order DoorDash in the morning and like just trade 18 hours. It's like, it's really fun. These markets are great when there's like excitement, when there's liquidity, and so like, since then it's like I've seen how certain sets can just get totally dead. Like the volume will just go to zero when other stuff is going crazy. So, a lot of lessons from poker apply, like bankroll management. You can't just go all in on one project, spread it around. And, but it's fun. It's like a very Wild West environment, which I like, where, which is great, like people had less of an idea what was going on with everyone's kind of, figuring it out on the fly, and like I've been dead wrong about a ton of things. I sold Bored Apes. I'm not even gonna say where I sold them, but it was like 2 ETH, it's like, I never thought they were going to hit 100, plus the airdrops or whatever. Crazy. So like even something like that, I would have sold it 10 other times along the way also.
Yeah.
I love them.
Wild West, and it it was cool for me to hear you say it's like reminded you of poker, like the early days of poker a little bit, because I had the same thought too. And like I was telling you before the podcast, I was a little bit younger and I really miss like the real boom years of poker. And like once I saw NFTs and stuff coming up last year, I'm like, I'm not missing this shit. Like if this is gonna, I'm like, I'm not gonna get into it. But it's funny, man. I told you bring up the Bored Apes. I couldn't bring myself to do it, to buy them, but I told my boy, I'm like, you're probably gonna do well on it. Like he bought like 3 of them. I'm like, you're probably gonna do good, but I just can't. I don't know. It just wasn't for me, I guess. But this is the question I wanted to ask you, man, because I know you're. I follow you on Twitter and I do like following you to kind of be like clued in just to see how you're thinking about NFTs and stuff like that. How do you, because there's a lot of people out there that don't just like, how's their value in a picture of an ape? How is their value? Like, how do you go about like sussing out like what you want to buy?
There's like, I have multiple buckets, I would say, for like what I want to buy. There's like my own deranged long-term stuff, which like I'll be honest, I ended up focusing too much on certain like crypto Leos, tripped out Leos, vessels, this project on Tezos.
Those are funny. I like that. The little Leo with the
I love the Leos, but like there's not, they haven't done that great overall, from a price standpoint. So it's like, I probably don't need to keep buying them. The Bitbirds, man, I love those.
You're why I got them. You're the reason why I got into them. Yeah.
So Dabiri, shout out to Dabiri. I still think those birds are going to fly at some point.
You saw, sorry, not to cut you off, but did you see those thug birds?
Yeah.
So it was the same thing, but the birds have the glasses and they were.
So they took the art, and now the Bitbirds are like open source. Like, so it wasn't like they didn't steal it. They got approval, but they copied the art, put it on Solana. They more than doubled the supply, and they were like 20 to 1 as expensive as the original ones, which is crazy to me. Right. So, but I think, I have the like, okay, I like this long term. I don't know if or when that's gonna take off kind of play bucket, which those fall in, right. And that to me, it's almost like I'm potentially throwing money into the ocean, but like if one of them hits, it can be like a crazy return. And like we've seen projects get hot like from out of nowhere and go on these runs. Yeah. So I have that one, that sort of bucket. I have the short-term bucket, which is more like I'm, basically flipping, right? I'm just trying to make money now, which, I kind of got away from that. I'm a little more in there. Things get very pump and dumpy, and it's like, you got to be really tuned in to be playing that game. And so if I don't have time to,
that's a full-time grind in itself.
I don't have time to commit to that. I'm more just like, I'm going to sit in ETH. I'm going to have the NFTs I already have. Like right now with the World Series coming up, and market's been pretty shaky. I'm not really making any like big NFT buys right now. I'm not opposed. Like if something might pop up and I'm like, okay, like, that makes sense. But right now I'm more, especially just between the market being kind of shaky, I'm just kind of like, I'm going to like just chill for a bit. I have the long-term bucket, but those are filled. The short-term is more like empty or moved into ETH. I would say there's not a whole lot I'm holding that I'm like trying to actively sell right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the third bucket would be kind of a more medium-term type of play where like I like it, but like if it does start running, there's always a price. I mean, there's always a price for anything, but like, yeah, that's kind of how I try, and there's no like super strict regimen, but I try and mix it up because I love illiquid deranged plays like more than most. And so it's like I get myself in trouble because I'm just blasting 2 ETH at some total nonsense, and it's like, maybe that could have been used for literally anything else.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
No, I definitely got caught in some of those because JJ, the NFT market it's not, definitely not as liquid. And so, you might find yourself caught in something. And I'm like, all right, fuck, I guess I'm just holding.
Yeah. There's a good saying I like for NFTs, which is sell on the way up or never sell. Like the liquidity can dry up so fast in here where it's like, you're just, you have a zero.
Well, it's a completely retail based marketplace, right? So there's liquidity is created by institutions because they have an agenda to push product. So that makes sense. Now Ray got into the NFTs. Like, I mean, I remember you were like one of the early adopters. So you had like a really good cost basis on a lot of that stuff that you got. You were like one of the first ones in. So your cost basis was one of the lower cost basis. So that, that probably helped out a lot. But the late chasers are the ones, in any market that end up getting burned. Yeah.
And I've done that too, though. Like I've taken profit from being early.
Yeah.
And then now I'm buying late in some other thing that I bought the top of some projects too, right? Where it's like, granted I bought the top with profit from buying early on something else. Yeah. So it's like, how bad is that? But at the same time, my typical strategy is more, I try and just get in early and let the ball roll, which is extremely high variance. But like when you do get a hit, it's a massive one.
Right. We're only looking to hit like 1 or 2 of them, right? Like that's
like I'll buy a bunch for 0.02 or 0.05 each. You for 1 or 2 ETH, you can get a bunch of pieces in a set. And then like I typically rather do that than buy like 1, 2 ETH NFT. I'd rather get a bunch,
spread it out. Yeah.
But now that 2 ETH NFT could have been an Azuki that went from 2 to 30, right? Which did way better than the 2 ETH I did, which I fired into some junk that like didn't even sell out. Yeah. So it's high risk, high reward kind of approach, but that's typically how I like to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I remember with the birds too, like the what I like about it is like the supply, right? Like so it's just like trading too, JJ. It's all supply and demand. That's what it is. And think there's 1,500 birds.
Yeah, 1,500. And they were, like it's pre-Bored Ape, which I think matters. That's such a big moment in NFTs that I think, hey, we were before them counts for something. I think that one of the things that's been hurting those birds is it's on the OpenSea storefront contracts. If you go on Looks Rare, if you go on X2Y2, it's like, it doesn't look great. Mm-hmm. So only if you're on OpenSea, it's like, oh, I see what this is. But Dabiri, the founder, has been planning to migrate to a new contract. He's got some ideas there. And so I think it's like, again, that's the thing. Like I feel pretty comfortable that those at some point will do.
Well, and too, Brett, if there's a run on them, there's only 1,500. So the price that's what he's talking about. Like do nothing price. It's like those stocks that get short squeezed. right?
Yeah.
Nothing goes parabolic. So, maybe we're being wishful here, but I could see it.
It's definitely wishful. Like, I would say the likely scenario is that it's you might
dust.
be 0.05 out here and there.
Yeah.
But there is a world, right, where they get hot. Oh, these like clean OG pixelated birds, where the guy's been around forever. They launched over 100 derivatives, including thug birds, and like now he did this other innovative thing with this new contract, getting it off the OpenSea storefront. I see the path. So like I have a lot. I think I have like 50 of these. So I bid last summer. I was bidding on rares because like it was when it was kind of dead. So I would like to see it do well, obviously. There's a reasonable chance that it never goes anywhere. But like I also see that path where they pop off.
You might have to put a group together, buy up all the supply, and jam the damn thing.
Yeah, we might just have to.
It might happen. You never know.
My specialty is short squeezes, so I'll help out. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, what's funny too, JJ. I remember us talking about this, like, because now, I think right, we've seen a lot more maybe like bad actors or like scams, whatever. I remember JJ. I remember us talking about this like a year ago. Like, it's just how naive some people could be. Like when there's a lot of money at stake, there's going to be people pushing the boundaries a little bit here.
Very true. Oh God. Yeah, 30 years in this business, I've seen some pretty crazy things. So yeah, it's and now in these markets and this stuff that you guys are in, there's no regulation. There's no oversight.
It was very Wild West.
Yeah, it's like pink sheet stocks in the 1990s.
It's like online poker for me though, because I was playing like random offshore sites, in 05, 06. Like none of them were regulated either. There's times I'd be sweating out a wire. I remember one time I might have had 3K to my name, and then like I had 100K on this like random offshore site. So it's like 98% of my net worth was just on this, and I cashed out. I was like, I hope I get it.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, talk about a sweat. That's a good sweat.
That is.
I got it though, so it was all good.
There we go.
Cool.
Brett. Any I guess like in the NFT space, do you I guess we have like the profile pictures, the PFPs, gaming, collectibles. Is there anyone you kind of gravitate towards? You prefer over the other?
Yeah, there's actually. So I like gaming, but that also is very pump and dumpy. Like now you got to be on top of it. Like I have one friend that only focuses on gaming NFTs. Like he just doesn't do anything else because there's enough going on there. So I'm kind of not as into that now. The one category that I'm actually quite interested in is lore-based NFTs or like world building, right? If you look at like J.K. Rowling or like George R.R. Martin, right? They built these massive intellectual properties, really just with their mind and writing these books. And so I think like the sort of media approach of like, what if the next big, I guess not content, but like, a big like franchise type of, what if something like a story like that comes through an NFT project? I think that the upside there is tremendous. If you could somehow find the next J.K. Rowling is her Genesis NFT, big ifs across the board, but like if that reward is massive. So that's the kind of, and it's also like that's not a lot of people are focused there right now. So I'm not saying I found any of them, but I like projects that are taking on that like the sort of entertainment trajectory, because like the cycle of like the value in our project is shipping another JPEG or whatever. It's like, with Bored Apes, they've done a great job so far, but like now they're these really ambitious gaming metaverse plans.
Yeah.
I don't know, like that seems like it's going to be hard to pull off. But if somebody's like, here's a story where these NFTs are like, the characters are like woven into this fabric of this environment I'm creating, that's exciting to me, because I think there will be some big winners in that space.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that is interesting. I've seen a few of them, and I even I was even looking at it because I like Method Man right? But they're doing this project. It's like Method Man. It's like a comic, like I don't even know exactly. I was trying to listen to him, but it was like a comic world where like you can have superheroes, but they're telling a story through the world. I don't know if this is kind of what you're talking about.
Could, yeah, graphic comic type stuff. There's Nuclear Nerds, Vessels on Flow, or on Tezos, Vessel, whatever. There are a couple that are doing graphic comics that I've seen or bought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like any music I think is pretty cool too. Like as I said, we started the show. I'm gonna put some music NFTs out later this summer. That sort of whatever content, like entertainment type of anything under that umbrella is interesting to me, because that is actual that just makes more sense to me than like, oh, we're sending out another JPEG, like in terms of long-term value.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you had like fucking Drake's first song, is if he did an NFT drop where there was 100 NFTs of like, I don't even remember this, whatever the songs he did with Lil Wayne, like back when he first came out.
Yeah.
Right. Like those would be worth a lot now. Right. The people, like I like the idea in music, right, where you could bet kind of on an artist, like early in their career. Like I remember when I first heard Trap Queen, I didn't know it was going to be as big as it was, but I was like, this is going to be a big song, like within the rap community. I didn't know it was going to go mainstream, but I was like, okay, like this song is really good, so like I would want to be able to, like, how can I bet on it, basically, this song, right. And like if there were NFTs for it, now you can kind of have that gamified. It's kind of what Top Shot did with NBA, where you could, that's what drew me to the platform, was this gamified like trading of NBA players. And I like the idea of, for music for sure, where like again, like a song comes out, another one, Quicksand, Moray, heard that they actually didn't blow up as much as I thought it would, but I was like, okay, like I think this song will be big. So like I would like the idea where I could like, find a diamond in the rough artist, and try and get in early on them. That appeals to me.
That's really dope. I never even thought of it that way. That's super cool. Yeah, like you're betting on him. Like, yeah, I think this guy has a future here, or this song is going to blow up. Yeah, that's awesome. So Top Shots, you said you were still holding a few of them. Did you ever get into NFL All Day? Do you have any of the NFL cards?
I have a legendary Devontae Adams.
Nice.
Like, but I was listed for 2,400. No one bought it, and then someone went to 2,100, and so I'm gonna wait till the NFL season now, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought it, but like my trust in their team is like, they build great products, like the blockchain works. I really like it from a retail onboarding standpoint. I actually have a bunch of Hoodlums, which is a PFP project on Flow blockchain. But in terms of like Dapper, for me, putting more money into I'm basically not depositing money. Like if I make some sales, I might shuffle some around, but it doesn't, their goal is not aligned with mine in terms of like the supply of their sets, from what I've seen repeatedly.
Yeah. Well, at least they seem like they've done a better job with the NFL, at least, like, because I went back, because I stopped looking at my Top Shots a long time ago, and then I go back and I'm looking at some of the comments are like 50,000 supply, 40,000 supply. At least the comments in the NFL is like, I think 10K, maybe some of them even a little bit less.
So I just bought packs, like whenever they came up, I would buy the pack.
Yeah.
And so NFL season's coming up. Like my plan is like, I'm not going to deposit, I don't think, but I'll, sell Top Shot, maybe roll it back into NFL. I haven't bought much in that marketplace, but, if they do a better job managing supply, it could be good. NFL is very popular. Like their products are good. Like the Top Shot product to me is really good.
Yeah.
Like they can build a good website. They build a good blockchain that works, but they really is the supply issue. There's the main problem most people had, but it's really hard. Like they had complete lightning in a bottle a year ago. 13 months ago, like what every product dreams of. NBA players are shouting it out. It's like the cultural, like, this is it. And then they raised 350 million, which to me is like, okay, you can now play the long-term game. Like you don't need to focus on short-term revenue. with this kind of war chest, and then they just like cranked up the, like, we need to maximize our revenue as much as possible and just kept flooding out packs, which made Top Shot a lot more money. But like, maybe they made 50 million extra on top of the 350. Like, to me, it doesn't, like, it's not worth it. And then they drove away all these influential people from their platform. So like, I don't understand like the business logic there. But again, I haven't done anything either. I've flopped basically on my own business endeavors. So, who am I to judge? But that's the way I see it. It's like, it doesn't make sense.
Yep. Well, let's hope, man. I'm just betting on, I think it's essentially just a bet on the digital collectible market, right? Because it makes so much more sense than having a physical card, at least in my opinion. I get there's still a market for a physical card, right? But you gotta have to get it graded. Like, one of my boys has like over like 250 of like the original Pokemon cards. And the process for us to like go sell this is a fucking pain in the ass. You know what I mean? And then you have to like meet up with people. Like, at least with this, it's like, seamless transactions. So let's hope with the NFL, I just, like you were talking about before, just spreading out small bets, man. I just scooped up all the rookies last year. Waddle, Jamar Chase. I'm just going for all rookie cards. And just hold on to them.
That's smart. I mean, those are the ones that blew up in Top Shot, and like in the traditional market, the rookie card is like what always holds value. So I'll give it. I mean, I'll look at it. I'll give it another shot. I like the NFL a lot. I like NFTs a lot. It's like, there's no reason I couldn't be an active participant on that platform. It's just my, like, one component is like, I would like to be able to make money. And so if I feel that is like very unlikely the way the platform's set up, I'm going to be less likely to go, spend money on it.
Yep. All right, let's see here. So how, let's see, almost pretty much wrapping up here. How are you as a DFS player, man? I've struggled for like a while, man. I did decent last year, as in I didn't lose. I won a little bit, but how are you in a DFS player?
I'm a losing player. I was slight winner to maybe break even through like 2018 or ish, then the 2019, so somewhere in there is, I've been losing. I mean, I don't play, I've never like taken it like as I'm a pro player. It's like but I look for, like, similar to NFTs, right? I'm looking for like a profitable hobby. That's what I like to do, right? And so with DFS, and the other thing is, like, for gambling or betting or something, like, I need to at least delude myself into thinking I have an edge, like something like going to the bar and like playing the video poker machines here. That doesn't interest me.
It's not fun, right?
I know I can't beat that machine. So it's like, that doesn't interest me. DFS, even though, history would say like, hey, you played for 7 years, and you're losing, I still think I can beat it. I don't play a ton. I'll usually do like, I'll throw a $20 lineup in, like whatever they're $15, in the main contest. NFL, go a little bigger, maybe fire like 1,000 a week into the NFL, 500. But for the most part, I'm like playing for fun, and like I'm trying to beat it. It's very high variance, and then I'm also not willing to like put a bunch of, and I'm not saying I'd be winning if I were doing that, but to like put more capital in, like I like, I'm not firing 150 lineups. Very seldom, will I do that. Mostly just fire, I like, it's a challenging game. But the last few years I'm definitely down.
It's a lot of fun. I love the theory, like the game theory in it is super interesting, especially like, cause I mean, I only play the NFL, but there's so much difference between week to week matchups. And then, the ownership, a lot of it's coming down to ownership. That's why I'm definitely excited to talk to Levitan, Adam Levitan. He's a beast, man. He's so good. But it was funny, man. Like I had a good sweat like this year, and I was at the Dolphins game Thursday night. They're playing Baltimore, and Brett, I got a son. I got my son with me to meet him at the game, and Miami's actually like blowing them out. It's not even close, but there's one drive left. And I'm in like the top 5 of like a single entry. Not a crazy, nothing crazy.
I like the single entries though.
Because it's not as, because you got to hit the nuts if you're doing multi entries essentially. So I like playing the single entries, even though it's not as heavy payouts, but you could get something going. And so I'm in like the top 5, and it's a showdown, so just the Thursday. And my son's like, hey, Dad, everyone's leaving. Like, let's go. I'm like, no. I need Bateman to get 2 more catches. We're not leaving.
Yeah.
And I got like 3 prop bets on, but no, it's fun. Like this stuff always makes just the viewing experience a little more exciting.
Yeah. I look at that similar to poker tournament, although I do think I have a better edge in poker tournaments than DFS, but like I look at that as kind of, it's a gambling expense where like I'm trying to make money and sometimes I will, but I can't, like, I'm not counting on that for income.
Yeah, exactly. Have you been noticing with poker, it seems like poker's getting, I don't want to say like a resurgence, but it does seem like these live events are doing like very well, right? It's not just me, right?
I think between COVID, people are like looking to play, and then like, some of the like younger crowd influencers are getting into poker. Like we had that stream the other night. It was Mr. Beast, Ninja, XQC, some other, Alex,
the chess, right? She plays chess, yeah.
And then some other guy, Ludwig, I think. I don't know half of them, but like I know Mr. Beast and Ninja, and like those guys have a lot of, and then Ninja just tweeted out he wants to play the tag team event. He's looking for a partner at the World Series. So I think guys like that, people like that can draw attention. I mean, it's a beautiful game. It's really fun. And so I saw like Sean Deeb on Twitter just predicted 10,000 for the main event, 10,000 entrants, which would be the biggest main event ever by like quite a bit. So I'm hopeful, we'll see what the turnout's kind of like, but I'm looking forward to this summer. I think it'll be a good World Series.
Yeah. And I think even like to the point you were talking about, like with just gamification, like even like within NFTs or DFS, sports betting, poker's right in that alley. Poker just kind of really took off before those. And so maybe this is like, poker's coming up with the, rising up here too.
And then again, the government is always fucking things up. So it's like, you can't play poker in all but 5 states now, or you got to play offshore, and it's like, and they don't merge the player pool. Like I'm in Nevada, right? So it's us, New Jersey, and Delaware, which is Delaware's, no offense, but that's almost totally irrelevant. There's just not many people there.
Nobody there.
Jersey's nice, but PA has poker too, but they're walled off. Like the Pennsylvania players only play, so it's like, why don't you add? It's better for everybody. If you have that's just like more liquidity, right? Like it's Pennsylvania will still get their big cut because they're bringing all these players. So that's what I would love that, a 50 state, I don't care. You can cut the rest of the world out. That's fine. But like a
just
US,
keep it in America. Yeah. I think it'd be great. I think it would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause like, how is it? I remember when I went a few years ago, I didn't check last time I was in Vegas this year, but cause I checked out the WSOP.com. I wanted to see how, the games were running. Do they run pretty frequently, or what's the volume like?
Yeah. So like, it depends what you play. For me, I mostly just play tournaments on there, but like, last Sunday, so like 10 days ago, they ran like a World Series circuit online event, or a whole series.
Okay.
And so like a normal day would be like a $300 $75K guaranteed type tournament, which is like pretty good for that for online. And then like the main event I think was $500 $250K guarantee, and it's basically just Nevada and New Jersey and Delaware. So those are pretty good prize pools considering like hardly anyone can play. Cash games typically up to like, for PLO and no limit, I think like the 2-5 goes a lot. PLO, up to 5-10. Probably both games up to like around 5-10 are going. Like 1-2 always is going, and then you'll occasionally see some bigger stuff. But yeah, I don't play a whole lot of cash on there. Mostly just spin the wheel on tournaments every now and then.
Well, I imagine even like the 5-10 games are probably you probably got some good players in there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I've never even really tested it much, but I'm sure there's definitely some good players. But there's also like random, some of these tournaments I'll play $500 buy-in. It was just like, wow, like I forgot, I didn't know people were like still this bad. So you'll definitely, I mean, especially like once New Jersey got on, like sometimes you just have like there's a ton of people with money there that are just, they want to feel like playing some poker, and they're not necessarily going to study or do much to give themselves a chance. So to me, the more states, the merrier. But they're kind of, it's not a, most of the lobbying effort is on sports betting and online casino. And so poker is kind of left out, even though, like, to me, that's by far the most skillful of any of that. Like online roulette is a joke. How is that legal?
Fucking joke. Well, it's probably the money, right, Brett? Like,
yeah, I mean, it is. I know why, but it's like, like what happened to like ethical politicians that like their goal was to like improve the lives of the American people, because that seems to have been out the window for quite some time.
It sure does. It sure does, man. But yeah, no, it's cool, man. Yeah, no, because having online, right? It's like it's way easier for people just to get on and fire up a tournament instead of going to the casino, right? It's like, oh, okay, I could just stay in my home, better for everybody. But all right, we'll wrap it up here. Brett, what group is more insufferable, the poker community or the NFT community?
Oh man, I'll go NFT community now, just because they're like on a higher level. Poker community has been beaten down. They're more like we're withered. We're just gonna like, they've taken their lumps. NFT, a lot of them are still riding high. Some of them are going to be in for a rude awakening. It's like, same like when you're, I guess when you're hot, like when you're on a winning streak, you always feel like a genius. But as in poker, it's not how you win, it's how you lose, I think, is like a much better definition. Everyone looks like a genius when they're winning, right? But like, how do you lose? Like, are you managing your losses? Like, are you behaving yourself? Are you throwing a tantrum? Or like, that I think for whether any trading endeavor, right? That's the true measure of like the trader, is how they lose, how you handle losing. So anyone can win. Anyone can win.
Very well said. Very well said. Brett, have you throughout the years, have you ever been involved in any crazy like prop bets? These, I know a lot of people in the poker community have engaged in a lot of these, whether fitness or weight loss or, et cetera, et cetera. Have you been in any of these?
Not really. I haven't done a whole lot there. I'm pretty lame in that regard. I'm good friends with Huckseed though, who's the king of those prop bets. But I haven't done a whole lot of them.
All right. I was just curious. How would you say? Because I'm sure poker has kind of colored the way you look at life or maybe approach certain situations. Is there anything that kind of like really stands out to you?
I mean, to me, I think it's a beautiful game for like, you have to make a quick decision when faced with imperfect information. It applies to stock market. It applies to NFTs. It applies to like, life in general. Basically just process information, make a decision based on it, right? You don't have time to research to make sure you have the perfect, again, that's why it's imperfect information, and then let the ball roll and then trust your process, whether it works out or it doesn't. You can kind of recalibrate, but keep looking to the future. Don't get bogged back. Oh, well, that's, if they didn't call with jacks, then I would have had, it doesn't matter. That hand's over, right? So keep it moving.
Yep, keep it moving. I was curious if you've heard this song, man. I haven't heard anyone talk about it like in the poker world. There's a song, I don't know if you're a fan of Ghostface Killer. He has a song on one of his albums. It's called Poker Face. And to me, I always thought it was one of the best. I wanted you to listen to it, like, later on, message me what you think about it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I don't think I know that one.
They used to play it, so I had to look it up. I'm like, damn, like I guess he used to play like 510 at the Borgata. I don't know. I know you've probably been in and around there.
I've been to the Borgata, I don't know, probably 100 times maybe, but it didn't seem like that much because it was over a lot of years. I usually go like once a month. But
it's funny. It's like him and like one of his guys, Sean Wiggs. He's like in like his like little group. I mean, this had to have been probably 05, 06 probably. Yeah, 06.
I never heard that. That's crazy. I was playing a lot back then. I'm surprised I didn't hear it.
Well, listen to the song. Tell me what you think. I think it's a funny song. Kind of they reference like some of like the rounders is kind of like the opening like cut, into the song. All right. Before you go, I gotta ask you your top 5 dead or alive.
Lil Wayne, Young Thug, Jay-Z. I'm gonna go Drake and Birdman.
And Birdman
in a Benz with the duffel stuff.
Even in old school, baby, Birdman. I love it, man.
I love Birdman's still hot. He's got a song Still Hot. He just came out a couple years ago. He's fire, man. And by the way, you put him up against any guys from his era, right, his age, other than Jay-Z, you know, I think he beats the whole catalog of Rakim or somebody. You know, like they're the same age. To me, Birdman's way better.
Birdman, you know, man, I remember him and Manny Fresh, man.
Back in the timers.
Yeah, the big timers, man. Oh shit. Oh, I remember that shit. Oh, bringing it back, man. Brett, man, I really appreciate you, man. So that's guys. That's going to conclude today's episode of Confessions of a Market Maker. If you guys enjoyed the show, please rate and review it for us. If you'd like to join a professional, supportive community of traders, you can join us at microefutures.com. Brett, tell listeners where they can find you and anything else you want them to know.
Yeah, Brett Richey on Twitter. It's about all you need to know. Thanks for having me on, Ray.
Thanks for coming on, man. Had a lot of fun. JJ, any parting words?
Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it. Drop some nice knowledge. Thank you.
Thanks, JJ.
Yes, Brett. Good luck. Good luck in the World Series, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So for Brett Richey, I'm Paulie Walnuts. He's the Gorilla House Street. You stop, so.